Coming up on the game plan with Ron Rivera, another NFC East battle awaits the Commanders when the Eagles fly into FedEx Field. Coach tells us how the team has been preparing to bounce back and take on the 6-1 Eagles. We'll review the game tape and break down the key matchups to get you ready for kickoff. It's your inside look at the game plan, and it starts now. The Game Plan with Ron Rivera is presented by your local Honda dealer. Feel the power of Honda's most electrifying vehicles yet, like the CR-V Hybrid and the Accord Hybrid. Find adventure in a rugged SUV like the Pilot Trail Sport, or experience performance in a fun-to-drive Civic. Find your perfect Honda. See your local Honda dealer today. And by the Maryland Lottery Fast Play Games. Play fast, win fast today. Please play responsibly. Welcome into the Game Plan with Ron Rivera. I'm Logan Paulson. Coach, always a pleasure for you to be here. Exciting opportunity to get going against the Philadelphia Eagles, division rival. What does that familiarity do for you, right? Because it's tough because you kind of know what they know, all that kind of thing. Yep. What's that do for you?
Well, truthfully, it's really about expectation.
Okay.
You know, what you're anticipating, what you're expecting, more so than something new, something different. Just knowing that this is what you're going to get.
Yeah, absolutely. And because you know they're going to run that cover three, they're going to do all the same stuff. And I will say, in the last outing, the offense looked excellent, probably the best they've looked all year. How do they continue that momentum this week?
Well, I think the couple things that really came out of that game was, again, protect the quarterback, give him time, protect the ball.
Yeah.
Okay, and then execute. I mean, our execution in that game really kept things rolling. We had a little bit low here and there, but for the most part, we're always on, we're always dynamic, and we move the ball. Anytime you move the ball, all right, and hold the ball for a little bit, it keeps their offense off the field as well.
And you mentioned kind of possessing the football.
Yes.
To me, that means being excellent on third down. And you guys did a bunch of different stuff on third down, quick game, took some shots, quarterback moved out of the pocket. Yep. How important is that to have an excellent plan for that element of the game?
Well, first and foremost, though, you got to be better on first and second down.
I love it.
And that's the truth.
I love it. No, it's excellent.
3rd and 6 and less gives you much more of an opportunity, obviously, than 3rd and 7 plus. So, again, our objective is come out, be good in first, second down, and then see what happens from there.
And so, I mean, all the fans have been talking about we got to run the football more. And one of the things I say is, like, how do you be more efficient running the football a little bit more? What do you see in that aspect of the game? You say, man, we can be a little bit better with X, Y, Z running the ball.
Well, I think the biggest thing is, again, just staining the blocks more so than anything else, and just having a really good feel for that stuff. And as we continue to grow and continue to develop, Sam continues to grow and develop, I think those things will become much more natural.
And obviously there has been a couple injuries on the offensive line, some new guys coming in. What's your confidence level with those new football players?
Confident, very confident. I really like who we have. I like our guys. I like all of them. I just think right now, again, this is growth and development, but we're at a point now, it's time. It's time.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that fans maybe don't understand is that group has been playing analytically very well, right? And so I think it's unfair to kind of have all this criticism heaped on them, but they have a tough matchup this week with that Philly D-line.
They do, and it's a very talented line. It's a very talented football team we're facing, and that's the truth of the matter. Again, everything starts with their quarterback for the most part, and then up front.
And obviously, so we talked a lot about offense there. Defensively, you guys seem to match up with them very well. Last time, I think you guys played an excellent game outside of a couple explosive plays. How do you manage that going into this week?
Just like you said, explosive plays. No, we got to keep it in front of us. Got to be very aware of what AJ is. We know how dynamic and explosive he is, and he has great rapport with Hurts. So we've got to make sure we control that. Secondly, be aware where number 6 and number 88 are.
Yeah, they do have a lot of playmakers.
Absolutely. And then Swift as a running back, very dynamic, very explosive. They got a great group of running backs as well. So, again, keep everything in front of you. Don't allow the explosives. Every yard they get, we got to make sure they work for.
And so what's the expectation for the defensive line? I mean, I feel like this is one of the things I've tuned in the game for, right? One of the best offensive line in football versus this vaunted Commanders defensive line. What's the expectation for that?
I think for those guys really to attack the way that they did in the past against these guys. I mean, there was a real dynamic game last time we played them there in Philadelphia. I thought both sides really showed what they're capable of. I like the matchup as well. I really do.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And I got some clips for you, Coach. We'll check it out on the touch, all right?
All right.
Let's check out how the defense has looked this year. Washington allowed a season-low 14 points last week against the Giants and allowed 30 points total in the last 2 games, holding both opponents under 20 points. Under Ron Rivera, the Commanders are 18-2 when allowing under 20 points. Let's fire up the film room presented by the Maryland Lottery Fast Play Games. Play fast, win fast today. Please play responsibly. Coach, against those New York Giants, I thought this defense played well outside of a couple explosive plays here and there, but overall, I think they're trending in the right direction, and I'm excited to see how they play against Philly. Let's take a look at a couple of these plays. This is the first one, and they're in this it's a cover 2 shell, and one of the things I really like about this is as the concept develops here for the Giants, I love the spacing you get here from the defense. Everyone's kind of in good relationship. There's not a clear throwing lane. Everyone looks very calm and comfortable, cool and collected.
That's a great way to put it, because everybody is in there throwing lanes where they need to be. Cody typically opens up to the 3 receiver side. He's letting the quarterback's eyes steer him a little bit, though, because you see him, he starts to fall back inside, okay? And what you would like him to do is just stay patient, stay on your landmarks, okay, and then react to where the quarterback goes. And again, look, he's in the lane. He can't throw that one. We're playing the high-low. We're forcing him to make a decision which of these 2 guys he's got to throw the ball to. I mean, this really is classic cover 2.
Classic cover 2, and it's nice to see everybody in position, no explosive plays. You said this last time we were here, Coach, the safeties in position. What is that? +2 off the hash, right where they're supposed to be. Great alignment, great position, and it ends up being an incomplete pass. And to me, that people don't look at this play, but that is a great defensive effort by them.
It really was. And again, it's about doing your job and being where you need to be.
And doing it consistently, absolutely. And in this game, I thought they were much more consistent. Here's another look at a great coverage philosophy. And you were talking about, the rush here a little bit earlier, but I look at this and I look at the safeties, I look at the defensive backs, and I look at the relationship they have with each other and how they're able to kind of make plays on this throw. And, Percy against the Bears had a rough coverage snap, but I like the depth he's getting, like the vision he's playing with the quarterback, and he's able to get a handle of football.
Yes, and again, he put himself in position. Again, let's just finish the play. But what I like here, too, is the tremendous patience right here by Kendall. Again, Kendall's over top of number 1. He's reading number 1's route. As he sees it, he keeps his hips square. His vision tells him that the quarterback's looking deep, and he turns and continues to run with the receiver going deep.
And how important is that patience here, Coach?
It's very important because, again, if he bites on this initially, and gets out of position, the quarterback could actually throw this sooner and doesn't give Percy the chance to make the play like he does.
And I think it's great to see, obviously, Fuller's a guy we've come to expect this from 10 out of 10 times.
Yes.
But also, Benjamin St. Juste, I thought, did a great job over here of kind of embodying the same principle, just being patient, staying over the top. And when that cover structure looks like this, especially when they're trying to take a shot, that's pluses for everybody.
It is. And again, we talked about this earlier. Love to see the rush get a little bit more synced together. The big influence on this, obviously, they chip. It's going to happen. They're going to keep extra guys in because of who our defensive linemen are. And in this case, they chip Chase, got Chase out of his normal rush. And again, that bought a little bit more time for the quarterback. So we're aware of that.
And I think that's the thing that I find really interesting, because these aren't like normal chips. Like when you're playing tight end, you're always like, oh, chip and get out. These are like, let me make sure you got it tackles, because we understand what we're dealing with in terms of rushers here.
Yes, and that's exactly, because it is a special group we have.
Yeah, absolutely. So great job in the back end, great coverage principles there, good spacing. Love to see it. Also here, Coach, love this. We're showing all-out pressure here, right? Or six-man pressure versus a 5-man pro. And this gets the quarterback a little bit confused.
Yes.
He thinks, wait, where I got my man-to-man coverage? I got this matchup right here. This guy's running what I call like a lookie route, where he's going to kind of fake the slant. Should be stealing, especially if both these guys are blitzing. But you guys are doing something different. Play a little trick here on Tyrod Taylor.
Right, and that's one of the things that we wanted to do, is we wanted to give different looks and then pop out and play different coverage than anticipated. Again, real nice job here by the 2 linebackers, stepping in, mugging the A-gaps, okay? And again, once they clear the snap, now what they're doing is they're looking for those routes. And if you look at Leak, you can see he turns, sees his number 2 target, and he follows through with it, gets into the throwing lane, gets the quarterback to pull it down. And again, great pass rush here.
I was going to say, Coach, sometimes, even though the coverage is outstanding here, when you got a dog like that that's looking to hunt, that's pretty good.
But the key being this, though, is the quarterback gets the snap, all right, and he sees the bail, right? He knows he can't throw this right now, so he's got to hold it. If he knew this guy wasn't there, the receiver would be continuing across the formation, and the quarterback would have been able to deliver the ball.
So it all works together,
yes,
right,
that's when the coverage is synced with the rush.
Yeah, great job by Chase, great job by Leak, and great job by just general coverage principle there. This is another one, Coach. We talk about defense working together in coverage. You see it all the time. I like this a lot, because I think Payne gets credit for the tackle here, but I think Jamin helps him out a little bit. And you said that the linebackers have to appeal double teams, and I think this is the reason why.
And this is a great example of getting the double team to come off. Great job of doing my job, coming down along the side, okay? But more so than anything else, because Jamin gets downhill.
Yeah, gets downhill, peels that double team. These guys, like this, to me, if I'm a coach, I'm like, everyone's in between. They're both trying to work to the same guy. 79's on the same page with 64, and you get a nice play by Duran there working off that block.
Yep, it really was. It was a good read by him.
And then our guy, man, it was nice to see him kind of flash flash a little bit more, right? He's been a little quiet past couple of weeks.
Well, he's dealing with the leg injury, and he played as well as he could and did a nice job for us. He really did. But this is typical Jonathan.
Jonathan Allen, like against 60, young player here, and just the quickness, the speed, the explosion, tackle for loss in a critical situation in this game.
Right.
It's huge.
Well, again, getting vertical in your gap, getting as far upfield as you can, put stress on this center. Again, he knows 60 is going to reach because they're going to run some sort of inside zone. So as soon as, or actually they're running slice. So as soon as they did that, Jonathan was vertical and just keeps pushing and creates the opportunity to get the tackle for loss.
Yeah, so when I see this stuff, Coach, I'm like, man, this defense seems to be trending in the right direction, and I can't wait to watch them today against the Philadelphia Eagles.
Looking forward.
If you guys like the game plan, you'll love Command Center. It's 100% Commanders all the time. Fred, Santana, and myself, we break down Commanders. We give unadulterated takes Thursdays on the Commanders YouTube channel. Don't go anywhere, because when we come back, Coach and I are headed into his office to go behind enemy lines and review Eagles game tape. That's next on the Game Plan with Ron Rivera, presented by your local Honda dealer. Welcome back to the Game Plan with Ron Rivera. Time for the Rivera Review, presented by DC Prime, Loudoun's premier steakhouse. For dinner reservations or private dining, call 703-840-2099. All right, Coach, got the Philadelphia Eagles again, and it's so funny in these games for the second time around is that you kind of know, you always say, you know what they know, what you know, or whatever that expression is you got. One of the things about the Philadelphia Eagles that I think is really interesting is that they tend to be offensively very, very aggressive.
Yes.
Very, very aggressive. And this is a 4th and 3, like you just pointed out, and they're willing to go for it. And what about that makes it difficult? How do you have to call the game differently? What does this do in terms of how you call it defense?
Well, first of all, it is a mentality on their part. So good for them. I mean, you come out with that type of mentality, you're going to be aggressive. Your players are going to be aggressive. Secondly, as a play caller, what you want to do is you want to make sure that on 4th down, you put them as 4th and negative as possible. 4th and 4, 4th and 5, 4th and 6. What is their cutoff number, especially in the red zone? Is it 4th and 3, 4th and 4? Here's a 4th and 3, and it's real interesting because, again, they're playing for something specific right now. Okay, and once they shift that guy out, now the box count begins, and this is what happened. This is what's interesting. See, initially when he started the box count, there was only 5 in the box. Right, but as soon as that guy shifted out, okay, it now went to 6 in the box. So technically, he shouldn't be running this. But he went ahead and ran the Q draw. Now, for all intents and purposes, they got him stopped. They really do. And what was really interesting about this was, and again, if this had been later in the game, this forward fumble wouldn't have counted, or at least it looks like, I think that's what they gave him.
Kind of fumbled in the end zone, right? Because 13 ends up with a touchdown. I think the box count thing is interesting because it's one of the things that a running quarterback always makes it challenging because you have to account for him as a runner, right? And you got 5 blockers plus the guy. You always want to be +1 in the box count.
Exactly. So the box count gave him a +1, and they did hit him in the end zone. In the backfield. And so again, they got fortunate that this is a very strong and powerful quarterback. First of all.
Absolutely. And so again, we talked about the mindset. We talked about the running quarterback, but also just like it's the thing that I think is most interesting about it is you mentioned you have to keep him in these negative 4th down situations. Does that affect what you're doing on 1st, 2nd, and 3rd down? I'm sure it does to a certain extent.
Most certainly. I mean, the mentality being is if you can get them into 2nd and long and then 3rd and long, your approach is completely different. Your mindset as far as what you're calling gives you the chance to have the advantage as a defense.
Do you ever feel like you got to be maybe overly aggressive in those situations when you're calling defense? I know you don't call the defense, but if you were calling,
you do. I mean, again, and to Jack's point, some of the things that we've done is very aggressive. Something we do, we're trying to play to what we're anticipating, and I think Jack's done a nice job with the play call.
Jack always seems to have a pretty good feel for what the Philadelphia Eagles are doing. All right, let's check this next play out, Coach. So in addition, they, like one of the things you talked about, like kind of being aggressive, and I felt like in this game, the Jets, they've got this great 4-man rush, but they also brought quite a bit of pressure on 3rd down. And one of the things about Jalen Hurts when I watch him is everyone says Sam holds the football for a long time. Jalen Hurts holds it just as long. It's just his O-line is a little bit more consistent in terms of blocking the pressure. I think you got to heat him up a little bit. Where do you stand on that?
Well, I don't disagree. I think there's, again, opportunities. When's the best opportunity? In a situation like this, being very aggressive like they are right now could have backfired.
Absolutely.
It truly could, because look at this. For the most part, you've got 6 guys behind the play. Okay? You've got one guy that's got to make a play, and guess what? He made a great football play.
Yeah, this is the Jeremiah Johnson kid from Florida State. Great job by him, because really, like you said, like this is, to me, this encapsulates what pressure does, right?
Yes.
You heat the quarterback up, but you also expose yourself to this risk, and you put your guys in positions where they got to make these crazy plays.
Yes.
There's 3 blockers there.
Yep.
One of them just had to get in the way, and then that would have been a lot of grass there.
Absolutely, if that happens. But again, it was a calculated risk. Obviously, something in the game planning told them this was the opportunity. They took advantage of it, trying to get the ball out of Jalen's hands quickly.
Yeah.
Okay, and it worked.
Yeah, and
in this case.
And if it works, you look like a genius, right?
And that's one of the big things about playing these guys. If there's one thing you can do, and we did it in our first game this year, we did it last year in our last game against them, was takeaways. Takeaways is a big component against these guys.
Yeah, this is a team, like, I'm really glad you brought that up, Coach, because like the takeaways is something that they ride a lot.
Yep.
I think they lead the league in fumbles recovered, and this is an opportunity for, again, against a very talented Philly team to kind of switch the tide every time the ball comes out, right?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And then defensively, I think they're kind of doing what they always do. And I think this is an interesting play here, right? Because they got this, they kind of motion empty here. And they play in this match coverage on the backside.
Yep.
I just wanted you to talk through what you saw here. And because this is what they do. This is who they are.
Right. I mean, this is the middle open, obviously, so it is some sort of match. And what you see for the most part is in a match coverage, all right, especially down in the red zone, the thing you've got to be able to do is you've got to be aggressive as far as being a cover guy.
Okay.
The more space you give a guy to make a move, the more opportunities he's going to have if you're not connected. In this case, you can say the safety's not connected, and what happens is he ends up in a flat foot position.
So what would you advise the safety to do? Should he come up and press this guy? I mean, that's Tyreek.
I'm not saying press as much as try to take a little bit more air out of this play.
Like instead of 10, get to 8 or something like that?
Get to 8, flat-footed, and go from there. I mean, because, again, you have only so much room to defend him, and again, he created a little bit of a space. So you can find spaces if if that's what you're looking for. And in this case, all they're looking for is, again, to take away space as quickly as possible in the receiver, and with a guy that's still sitting there, he can make a break. Yeah,
and the other thing is, like, I think they do a pretty good job, Philly, generally, of matching their coverages to their rush from a timing standpoint. Because this is a pretty good pressure here by Jalen Carter and Josh Sweat. But like you said, if you're too deep, right, you can't. The pressure can't get home, right?
Correct. And again, this is one of the things that Philly is predominantly very good at matching, like you said, their pressures. Okay, with their route combination.
And so the fact they don't do that here ends up being a touchdown. Obviously, they get bailed up by a penalty, but I just think that's a really good look at what they do and kind of some of the holes, because I think they are good at it, but there is a lot of space in the back end.
There is, because again, one thing you can see that they rely on is they do rely on this really good pass rush. I mean, their 4 guys up front are very dynamic. They rotate the guys a lot, so they're all very, very fresh. And again, because of that, you can rely on certain aspects of what you do, and get bailed out.
What do you think makes the rush so good for them, Coach? Is it just they have the athletes, or is it how they deploy those guys?
I think it's a little bit of both. They have the athletes, and again, if you have the athletes, running games like this can be really, really explosive. If you take a look at this one, because obviously, first of all, you got to pay attention to the big guy coming in, hitting the B gap.
Yeah, he's doing a good job.
And what happened here is the mistake is that they're on the same level, and you know that.
The offensive lineman.
Exactly. And so what has to happen is that guard has got to be able to snap that guy across the tackle and then come back and pick up the looper. And he does, but he grabs him. Yeah,
grabs him and takes a touchdown off the board. And it's one of those things where you're dealing with good football, right, Coach? But then there's this play, and I think this is, again, if you go to the wide here, Coach, one of the things I love about this is when the rush doesn't get home. And we talked about it a little bit in the last play. Is, they're doing this match coverage. They're basically playing man down here at the bottom, or at least to me it looks like man, and the safety 21 is working to the field here. There is opportunities for explosive plays. You guys exploited them in this capacity in the first game you guys played, but you see it here, right? Nice route by the receiver, gets Slay turned around, and the rush is a little bit quiet here. Makes a big play.
Well, again, part of the reason it's quiet is they deployed a different protection. They got chippers on both ends, and they actually have the tight end involved in protection. So now what happens is you can double up. And because you can double up, there's only really one guy that's one-on-one, and usually it's the furthest guy on the line that they'll leave that they'll leave singled up. Okay, and this really is probably as good a route as it can be because again, he does a nice job. He sells the post, gets the corner to turn his shoulders, and then comes back outside for the sail.
Yeah, but I think that kind of shows you what Philadelphia is, right? We saw the first time with the pressure, what they can do, how they can disrupt concepts. Here, obviously protection plan is excellent by the Miami Dolphins. It just gives you an opportunity to push the football down the field and make a play. This was 3rd and 15, I think. So
yeah,
it's great.
Very good job. Very good job,
Coach. Always appreciate your insight. Thanks so much, man.
All righty.
Yeah. Do you want to go Northwest? Play the Flyaway Sweepstakes presented by Northwest Federal Credit Union. Fans have a chance to win 2 tickets, 2 nights hotel stay, and flights to the Commanders vs. Seahawks game in Seattle. Head to commanders.com or the Commanders app to enter. Welcome back. It's time for some healthy competition presented by Ortho Virginia, the official orthopedic and sports medicine partner of the Washington Commanders. Here's a look at the competition today for the Commanders. The Eagles are top 10 in the NFL in both total offense, 3rd, and scoring offense, 4th, after finishing 3rd in both categories last season. The Commanders are the only NFC East opponent the Eagles have faced this season. Philadelphia still has its 2 games with the Cowboys and the Giants among its final 9 games of the season. Here's what Coach had to say about the Eagles this week.
Well, I mean, there really is no advantage just because they have, for them it's the same thing. They just played us. But I think the thing that, we look at more so than anything else is what have they done differently in those last few games compared to what it was like when we did play them. And that's what we're trying to, see. Now we're looking, very hard at those things, looking at, the numbers. We're looking at the scouting reports and obviously, paying a lot of attention to stuff that we see on tape.
In just a couple hours, we have more Commanders coverage coming your way. Don't forget to tune into Command Center Game Day Live, 11:30 a.m. Sunday. Brian Mitchell and Santana Moss live from FedEx Field. Command Center post-game live right after with me and B. Mitch. Make sure you check it out on Commanders YouTube, Facebook, and X. It's time for your ticket to a dub, presented by SeatGeek, the official primary ticketing partner of the Washington Commanders. All right, Coach, let's talk about the ticket to getting a dub this week in Philly. Let's start on the offensive side of the ball. What do you think?
Well, I think first and foremost, again, protect the football.
Oh, absolutely.
I think if you give the ball to them, they give themselves opportunities. Don't allow that to happen. Secondly, let's move the ball methodically downfield. Let's be good on 1st and 2nd down.
Is time of possession a big factor against this team?
It can be. Yeah. It really can be, because the longer you possess the ball, obviously, the less opportunity they get to truly score.
Yeah, absolutely. And so defense, what are you thinking for them? They ton of playmakers. You talked about that in the first segment. Yep. Great receivers, great running backs, very talented O-line. Expectations for the defense
is play disciplined football. If you play disciplined football, keep everything contained, keep everything in front of you, give yourself an opportunity to score and an opportunity to win.
Yeah, 100%. And when we were talking about this, I was like, let's talk about offense, let's talk about defense. You're like, no, we got to talk about special teams.
Yes.
What do we expect from the special teams?
Well, we expect special teams to come out and be dynamic like they have been. They've been very explosive. They've made a lot of good plays for us the last couple of weeks. We had a good punt return against Atlanta. We had a couple of fumbles that we caused on our coverage against the Giants. And again, we got to be able to continue to that. Why? Because that's a big part of the game. Field position plays big with these guys.
Yeah, I was going to say, a lot of people don't think about it, but Tress Way, especially in that Giants game, did a great job of flipping the field. Versus the Eagles, making them go long field, big deal.
Exactly, it really is, because one of the things that they have been because of their defense and their special teams is they've played with a short field more so than anybody in the last 2 seasons.
I didn't realize that.
Yes.
I mean, that's something you get when you're really in the film, right?
Yes,
getting all that
is.
Stuff. So overall, we talked about offense, you got to drive the football. Defense, you got to kind of protect against that big play. As a team, what's the mindset? What's the objective? Kind of, if you're giving that pregame speech, what are you going to say?
Oh, most of the thing is, hey, we've been there. We know who these guys are. They know who we are. Let's go out and have a great game.
And I think that the other thing is, like, when you're kind of fighting with your brother, you get more out of guys. And I feel like you, for whatever reason, and your staff get these guys ready to go each and every time you play Philly.
I'll tell you, in our division, there's a tremendous amount of respect for each team. And that, I think, is what you've got to do. You've got to approach each one of these games with tremendous respect just because of who they are and the fact that they're division foes.
Coach, I can't wait to watch the game today. Always super exciting. Good luck.
All right.
And if you guys like this, make sure you tune in next week for the Game Plan with who? Ron Rivera.